What's up, bikers? Episode 147. Today's guest is Outside Brendan. If you haven't seen him on Instagram or TikTok, you can also find him on YouTube. And he's essentially a mountain bike inventor of things. That's the way that I explained him in the show notes. But you'll see. If you're familiar with him already, right on, you'll get to know him a little better today. Before we get started, thank you to everybody on Patreon. Really appreciate all of you that have been helping support the channel. Those of you guys that left, I appreciate you too, but it happens. And I just want to ask you guys that if you enjoy the content and you want to keep seeing it and you want to help out, just swing by Patreon. It's as little as $1 a month. You could do $5 a month, put some beer in the fridge, help pay for some lighting and all the things. There's all these things that always are coming up. Hosting for, you have to pay to have your podcast like pushed out to places, and web hosting. Oh, there's all this stuff. It's like when I first started YouTube, I just thought all I needed was a GoPro, and YouTube's free, right? But here I am, like 5 years later, begging you guys to help me out on Patreon. No, the reason I like you guys on Patreon being the supporters is honestly it just makes me feel better to have supporters that are listeners rather than, some company that's telling me what I have to say or whatever. So I'm sure someday, maybe if we get enough of you guys to go swing by the Apple Podcast and write a 5-star review, maybe if there's enough of you guys doing that, I'll just be making so much money, getting so many offers from all these like sponsors. Then I'll be like, you know what? All you guys on Patreon, just quit today. But until then, please help me out, man. Honestly, it keeps the show going. So I really appreciate all you guys on there. Those of you guys want to do something for free, swing by Facebook or Instagram. Give me a follow over there. I'm always releasing new little tidbits of things that's going on. Like there may be a picture of a new bike coming up here soon. So you'll see that there first. If you are on Patreon, you already know what I'm talking about. So there's also they get the exclusive. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and bring Brendan back on and we'll get to chatting. So what's up, dude?
Hey, Robert, how are you?
Oh man, I'm living the dream.
Thanks for having me on. This is awesome. I'm psyched.
Yeah, man. Yeah. No, it's really fun to talk to other creators because then I know that you at least have the ability to gab about something. So sometimes I reach out to these companies and like I have never spoke to the marketing person or the person that is the founder ever, and so the first conversation is usually like right here, and then you're like, man, this could be difficult today.
Yeah, well, I think this is the first time we've talked kind of in person, right? We've just been messaging, so it's cool to hear your voice.
Yeah, for sure, man. So you are a Instagram, TikTok primarily influencer. Is that what you call? What do you call yourself?
Well, I guess that would have been the case a while ago. So I always say I'm a product designer in the outdoor industry. But normally my product that I'm selling is my videos about kind of product design from a more whimsical standpoint. So it's like teaching product design with like sort of silly or unnecessary or just ridiculous creations that go mostly with your bike.
Yeah. So you're a mountain biker, right?
Mountain biker primarily, yeah.
Do you ride other disciplines as well? Or
yeah, I mean, I do a bit of gravel riding, and when I was living in Toronto, I was like big into the cargo bike thing. Like that was a lot of fun. But yeah, mostly a mountain bike guy. I used to race slalom and downhill a lot, so
right,
kind of retired from that now. But
retired. How old are you?
I'm 32.
32, man, getting up there.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
So where are you located? You're in Canada still, or?
No, right now I'm in Southern California. Moved out here for my wife got a kick-ass job near LA, so moved out here for a bit. I told her we could move anywhere that wasn't Ohio. Basically, no offense to anyone who's from Ohio, but I lived there for a bit. But before that, I was in Toronto for like 5 years, and that's I actually started the channel like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, before we left Toronto. So I got my start making videos, making bike videos in Toronto.
Right on. Are you Canadian, or did you just end up there some other way?
So that's actually like part of the origin story of my channel. So my wife's Canadian, and we got married like a month before COVID lockdowns started. So I ended up moving up to Canada like a couple days before they closed the border. At this point, I was still just no Canadian status, right? I was just a visitor.
Right.
So they closed the border. If I had gone back to the US, I wouldn't have been able to get back to Canada. And then right after that, we found out that my wife had thyroid cancer, which she's fully recovered from now. But I was like, no way am I going to go back and not see her for who knows how long, which turned out to be like a year. I wouldn't have seen her. Anyway, I was working in aviation. I quit my job in aviation basically, and I've always wanted to get into making videos and sharing more of my like engineering kind of nerdy side online. And so I started doing that. That was like, maybe 2 years ago. I learned how to edit and film and do a voiceover and all that stuff that goes along with making short form video. And goes on from there.
Yeah. So what's your background? You're like a structural engineer or something? Or
my undergrad's in mechanical engineering. Did my master's in biology, so kind of a mixed background.
Right.
Yeah.
Where'd you grow up at?
I grew up upstate New York.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm from Pennsylvania originally. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. I went back recently or over the summer. You know how guys are, like time is like, oh yeah, it was yesterday. No, that was 6 months ago, dude. Yeah, I went back over the summer, and it was the first time I've ridden mountain bikes back home in like 30 years. And it really kind of blew my mind, man. It was just like,
where did you ride?
Do you know where Caledonia is?
Oh, in Pennsylvania, no.
Yeah, it's kind of like west of Harrisburg. So Harrisburg's kind of like in the middle, almost the center of the state. We'll just call it that. So
yeah,
it was like right by where the Appalachian Trail goes through.
Oh, so, cool.
Yeah. I was actually stopped and took some pictures of the Appalachian Trail sign and like put my bike on there and made it look like I was riding it.
I used to love going to Blue Mountain. If you remember Blue Mountain.
No,
that was a big, it was like it was only open for a few years, but it was an amazing downhill place in right on in Pennsylvania. They had a jump over a school bus, which was sick.
Oh, nice.
And then it closed down.
Right on. So how'd you get into riding? How old were you when you did that?
The little kid, I used to ride BMX a lot, just in the town where I grew up. And I think my dad got me my first bike, my first like mountain bike. It was like it was one of those Haro dirt jumpers.
Yeah.
Like sometime like early high school, I got like my first dirt jumper, and that got me really into mountain biking. And I watched like all the New World Disorder videos and just like couldn't get enough of it. So then like my first chance to race really was when I went to university and just started doing slalom and downhill there.
You're a little younger than me. I'm like 15 years older than you, but it's interesting to me that you were saying that you were into BMX when you were younger. Like when I was, let's just say like middle school or whatever, like BMX was pretty popular because there was like movies about it. And like, it was like the thing, like it was like the thing to do. And I feel like a little bit after that, like it didn't become as like cool. I don't know, like skateboarding came out and rollerblading and stuff like that. So how did you get into like BMX? Was it just like riding around in your neighborhood and then it's like, okay, well,
it's a good question. I just really love dirt jumping, and like back in 2007, like dirt jumpers were kind of just hitting the scene. Like they were still sort of weird geometry. The seats didn't go low enough. Like suspension was finicky. And so BMX bikes, like as a kid, I didn't have a lot of money. So, it was just like, well, what's a bike that I can ride and smash the heck out of, and it's not going to break and it's cheap. Get a BMX bike.
Yeah. That's rad, man.
I feel like it's just such a good skill builder, BMX. So many good foundational skills come from riding BMX, hitting up a skate park, hitting dirt jumps. Yeah.
When I was riding BMX, it was like probably closer to like kind of dirt jumpy kind of stuff, just because like that's what we did. Like there was like, there's this dirt trail that went through this park or this like spot where you could hit this like jump that was essentially a big ass tabletop going over an alleyway or something like that, and
Yeah.
we would just ride around town, like going to all these different things. And it wasn't necessarily that we thought about it as like anything more than just riding bike. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. But now it's like,
it was just freestyle.
right. But now it's like, it's a full on, like, it's a thing, like
Yeah.
specific bikes and, bike parks. Man, if they had a bike park like they have now when I was a kid, oh my God, I don't think I would have ever left that place.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
So,
Yeah.
so you get into riding and into racing and later on you find yourself in Canada and COVID. What did you when you started your like creating, were you thinking like, did you have the idea kind of pinned down, or did you start with something else, or how did it go?
I always liked product design. I was always very interested in it. And I was like simultaneously very frustrated by a lot of the marketing in the mountain bike industry. So I would often think of like especially when I'm out for a ride, just think of ridiculous things I can make for my bike to like fix very specific problems. Like the one I just made the other day was using the excess light from my my headlight on my bike to warm up a cookie.
Yeah, I saw that. That was freaking genius.
And then one day I saw an ad. I think this was the impetus for the channel. It was like Ceramic Speed or something. They were advertising a more aerodynamic derailleur cage.
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh man, this is like just I know it like it solves a problem, but I feel like it's just one or two people in the entire world that really need a more aerodynamic derailleur cage. And so I just started making like these fake ads, and they really took off. And I tried to just start making them more and more engaging, and like each one I'd kind of add on and maybe make a little bit more complex kind of product and try to learn something new each time. Like the one that I was storing snacks in my steer tube was like the first time I had 3D designed and 3D printed thread. So I'm like trying to learn something each time and maybe add a little bit something to my design portfolio with each new invention.
Yeah. I just learned how to do threads the other day too. And apparently they're a lot easier to do when they're big.
Yeah, they are. Or you have to bring the layer heights down really small.
Yeah. I was trying to keep from going down the 3D printing rabbit hole in this podcast as long as possible, because I know there's like a million things I want to talk about on that. So
I feel like more and more people in the bike industry are getting 3D printers, and it's a useful thing to have in your garage.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I thought was the coolest when I first started like researching like 3D printing was, like these people that have invented like are bringing out these different brand printers. Like the way that they envision the future is like you go to Amazon and you buy a WYSIWYG and then you hit buy and it like poops out of your printer. You know what I mean? like say like you're like, oh, I want some new GoPro mounts, and you go to Amazon, you go, and then it like, and I'm sure they'll have some super like put together printer that's all branded with all their shit and gives them all kinds of metadata about you and your life. But yeah, that's really cool to think about, like a world like that. I mean, it's not quite like the I don't know what it is on Star Trek when they push the button and like the food comes out, but like it's similar, you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I
Sure.
think
You
the
can
part,
like download a knob for you can download all sorts of spare parts these days, and
yeah, I
think
mean,
about
there's
making
like a
some
billion
projects.
things out there for free that it's just like it's one of those things that you don't realize how big the community is and how much you can do with it until you have one.
Yeah. And I think the cool thing about 3D printing is, in my background, I was a machinist for quite a while, and most of this, I feel like most of the skill there, most of the time you spend building machining skills is working with the actual machines, the mills and the lathes, and most machinists are learning on manual machines. So you spend a lot of time with feeds and speeds and setup and tooling. But for people who are coming from a world where they have a lot of digital skills, digital drawing, they're used to manipulating things on a screen, a 3D printer is a fantastic way to really take advantage of those digital skills and make them into, turn something that you want and make it into a physical object without having to know too much about, your CNC mill that will like shoot a hole through your garage ceiling if you mess something up in the settings.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, and it's it's what do they call it? Additive creating instead of
Additive manufacturing. Yeah.
that's it. Yeah, instead of the opposite, whatever that word is. Right now, I'm drawing a blank. With machining, like you're taking materials out. So there's some things that you can't do, like you can't put a hole there because you can't do that without a drill bit coming from some angle. And with the 3D printing, it's really cool.
I love stuff like that. Like, so this was this thing I made for my bike that holds like the planter on the front of my handlebar. And I don't know if you can see this, but like the zip tie, you can like take a zip tie and slide it in through this hole and it like comes out the other side right there. And like, that's
so
just a
basically
blind hole around a curve that would it would be impossible to machine that.
Yeah.
The only way you would be able to do is like with 3D printers.
Right. I mean, or it'd be a lot more work. It would be several pieces there, and then you'd have to like cut it down the middle and then machine out the little route that you have for the zip tie, and then now figure out how to stick it all back together.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it's really rad. And it's I don't know that, like, in my mind, whenever I first bought a 3D printer, I wanted to make some like GoPro mounts for my bike that I actually never made. Like things that would be like, oh, I want to put a camera here in this specific spot, and I want it to be like, stable, something like that. And I want it to be small, right? So like something like that was something I thought I was going to make. And I also want to make a new GoPro mount, like chesty kind of thing. And I started designing that, but then I just got stuck in this world of like realizing how many things that I could create that I didn't really know that I needed. You know what I mean? And it's like the silliest thing. It's like this camera that I'm talking into right now. Like whenever I have this little kind of camera stand on it, and I was like, man, it would be nice if this was like 3 inches taller. So what do? You just print a base, and now you're like, boom, now it's 3 inches taller,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what's your inspiration? So you made a peanut butter stirrer on one of your videos. That's pretty apparently that was polarizing to some people.
It was polarizing. Yeah, a lot of people, well, there was a lot of reasons why it was polarizing. Number one was a lot of people have never stirred peanut butter, so I guess everybody's just buying like the Jif, like super cheap peanut butter with hydrogenated oils. No hate on anybody here that likes Jif peanut butter, but you gotta try some natural peanut butter sometime. But anytime you open that stuff up, you gotta stir it because the oil's on top and the peanuts are on the bottom, and it's a pain in the ass to stir. I mean, you probably know, like the oil spills out. It's like so hard. Anyway, I just opened a thing of peanut butter, and I was like, wow, it'd be great if I could just like go ride my bike and spin this thing around using the power from my front wheel. And so I just made a little mount to spin her up, and that was it.
Yeah. And then, so what was it that was polarizing people?
Oh, well, that, and then people were saying that it wouldn't actually mix it because it's a centrifuge. So there's like some arguments in the comments there about that. And actually, just to be a bit of a troll, I actually used in the video a jar of no stir peanut butter. So when at the end of the video, when I'm showing the jar, it says like no stir creamy peanut butter. So there was a lot of comments about that. But it was the hole in the middle, like the hollow hole down the center of the peanut butter. And I don't know how like family friendly the show is.
Oh, you can say whatever you want, man.
So there was like literally, maybe not thousands. There was almost 1,000 comments of people talking about sticking their dick in the peanut butter. which I just didn't. I truly did not see that coming. It's a
You're like,
weird.
dude,
It seemed very bizarre to me,
right?
but apparently people like to do that.
That's a thing, huh?
Apparently that's a thing.
Well, son of a bitch, man. We could be missing something special right now.
It doesn't sound that great to me, but
No,
whatever trips your trigger out there, folks.
yeah, yeah. That's hilarious. I have a video that I made a little back kind of joking similar to that with peanut butter, and my friends and I are always joking around about like getting your dog to lick your peanut butter off or wherever. And so like I have this one video where the whole thing's a spoof on like how to be like a successful YouTuber. And like in one part of the video, I'm talking about like you need to make sure you wake up early, and like my alarm's going off in the video, and I'm just hitting snooze and like continuing to sleep. And sitting on my nightstand is a big thing of peanut butter, and my dog's in bed with me. And there's like he's got this toy that looks like a dildo, but it's not. It's just like a big fucking dog toy. And that's like in the bed too. And I was thinking that people were going to blow up on it, and I don't think many people caught the joke at all.
I find the more work I put into a joke, the less, it's the subtle things. It's always the subtle thing. And I find the comments.
Go ahead.
I just find the people in the comments are way funnier than me usually. And it's always cracks me up.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and that wasn't even like something that I was trying to get like a big. It was like one of those things that you just kind of do in the background to see if people catch, and didn't land. I was surprised. So, but anyways, so what platforms are you primarily creating on now?
Well, it started out on Instagram, and then I started out on TikTok maybe 2 months after I started on Instagram. That kind of grew really quickly, and then it sort of leveled off. And lately, most of my views have been coming from YouTube Shorts. However, the biggest like community builder is still Instagram, where I see the same group of people in the comments a lot, and I get a lot of great messages on there. It's just a nice place for me. It's where most people kind of contact me or reshare my stuff. But definitely most views on YouTube Shorts in the last couple months.
How viral has one? How many views? What's like your video with the most views on it?
Oh, the most views. I think it's the bike, the one where I put a winch on the front of my bike, and that's somewhere up around 12 million views.
Oh wow!
But
I think you're like rubbing on your shirt.
Like see around 800,000 views a day on YouTube Shorts right now, which is pretty wild. Lord. Yeah.
I don't know if it didn't send. I think your mic. Are you wearing a lav mic?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's rubbing on your jacket whenever you're.
Oh, sorry about that. Is that better now?
No worries. Yeah, it's fine. I was just letting you know. That's crazy. 12 million. I had a little Instagram reel that I made. We did this Halloween ride, and my buddy was dressed up like this white trash guy, and he had this prosthetic set of nuts that was like hanging out the bottom of his jean shorts, and they looked really real, like they had hair on them and everything, right? And so I just had this like little pan of like everybody on the Halloween ride all dressed up, and I used one of those like
I saw that, I think.
Yeah, and
it was a couple years ago.
No, it was like earlier this year. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it had like 3 million views within it. It was a pretty short amount of time, and it was like super fun watching it grow. But ultimately, I got taken down because they were saying it was nudity. I'm like, it's not nudity. It's
because of the nuts.
Because of the nuts.
That's too bad.
You can't have any like body parts apparently on Instagram. TikTok took it down in like 60 seconds, man. They weren't even fooling around. YouTube left it up, just has 0 views. It's like 500. Meanwhile, it's like 1 million, 2 million over on Instagram. Like, this is freaking crazy.
That's
It's
funny.
really interesting, like how different, like a different platform will do an exact same video.
Totally. TikTok has a really short lifespan. I mean, you have like a couple days with that piece of content, and then pretty much nobody's going to see it anymore unless it's super, super viral. Like I have a couple on TikTok that have maybe 15 or 20 million views, and people still, and that was from like a year ago, and I still get notifications from them once in a while. Most like my average video on TikTok is maybe like a 2-day lifespan. Instagram seems to like strike a pretty good balance between lifespan and reach, where like usually I don't get a lot of attention the first 1 or 2 days on a video. It's like my core audience that I really love interacting with. And then maybe a week later it starts to grow, and then it'll grow for a couple weeks. And that's what I normally see with my Instagram reels. And then YouTube is like, you never know. Like I have shorts right now that didn't do anything for the first 6 months. Like literally like 100 views, and now they're just taking off. So
that's really strange. Yeah, I really don't understand the YouTube thing. Like for me, the YouTube, and I think they're changing this. I saw some conversation about this, but like I think for that short kind of video stuff, content, that having that like trending audio or things of that nature, like I think really help push it. And the way, and that it's like, you know, like it's licensed music.
yeah.
And I think that without that on YouTube shorts, I personally feel like that hinders it from like growing in the same kind of manner.
Yeah, I don't really use I try to avoid trending audio because number one, I hate hearing the same sound over and over and over again for like for a week, right? You just hear the same sound over and over. It drives me nuts.
Right. Yeah, like right now it's Joe Rogan saying, you know, when you're 30, you don't have to be old. You can still do whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I've seen this on every video now.
Yeah. So I try to use, I have like maybe a set of like 10 songs that I kind of reuse over and over again. And I'm just used to like editing that beat and kind of like usually like hip hop or rock influence, but sometimes I use some like stuff from the Instagram music library, but it gets shut down in different countries, and I have a pretty global audience. So I hate when like everyone in the UK is messaging me like, dude, I can't hear the sound on your video. Because when you use a sound that gets shut down in a specific country, it's not that they just can't hear the song, they also can't hear my voice. So it kind of ruins the whole video. So I've learned my lesson there, and I pretty much just use unlicensed, like from my Epidemic music account.
Yeah, I pretty much use Epidemic except for an Instagram. Like I'll definitely use like music on Instagram just because like it's fun to put like AC/DC on something instead of, you know, some rock song that nobody's ever heard of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's interesting. Are you happy with Epidemic?
Yeah, I like it. I feel like they get better all the time.
Yeah. The thing that I notice is that I'll spend like an hour going down some like search term rabbit hole and find some song and then produce that video. And then in the next like 2 weeks, one of my friends will have the same song on theirs. I'll be like, how the hell did we both get to that song? That's what I don't understand.
Now I'm at the point where I see people using my audio on different Instagram videos, which is pretty funny.
Yeah.
I see a totally unrelated video, and it's just like Outside Brendan audio, original audio. That's like, oh, that's funny. Kind of like
I wonder how Epidemic like handles that. You know what I mean? Like
they only handle it on my account. Like when someone reuses it, I don't think there's any real way for them to like chase it down against Instagram's policies or with
I mean like in terms of like of the artist, right? So like if you're the artist and you make this like rad song and Outside Brendan uses it, and then all of a sudden like it goes viral and there's like 5 million people using his audio. If I was that dude, I'd be kind of like, what the fuck, man? I'm not getting money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I got to be honest. I'm really ignorant of how the licensing works with
Yeah.
Epidemic. I
Yeah,
don't
me
even
too.
know who's like. I've never even heard of someone who writes music for a service like Epidemic. Are these real
They
people,
probably
or are they
just,
just like
yeah, it's like Chat GPT.
are they just AI generated songs that
Yeah.
Epidemic found? I honestly don't know. Are these
No,
real
I'm
real
just
people
making it
writing
up.
this music?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sure there's people writing music. My assumption is that they're probably selling the song and they're not getting any kind of royalties.
I'm
So they're
guessing
probably,
that if that's the case, they probably sell it for a one-time fee, right?
yeah, that would be my assumption, but I don't know. I guess it would be cool if you were like, dude, I'm on the most popular trending audio on Instagram right now. I wrote that, sold it for $5. Now everybody knows that jingle. But yeah, I don't know. It's a rabbit hole we just went down, but whatever. Yeah, I use
YouTube getting
Epidemic as
into
well.
Oh, sorry. I was gonna say getting into long form has been interesting.
Yeah.
Uh, it's it's totally different art.
Yeah. I mean, the pacing is way different. I think you just started. There was one you put out on your channel just the other day. I watched. It was kind of like, I think you were like talking about how you did the peanut butter thing or something like that.
I was talking about how I did these the Lego
That's what it
pedals.
was. Yeah. The pedals.
Um, and it's really interesting because I find that the actual filming isn't really any harder because I kind of have lots of extra stuff left over from the short form anyway. But the
Hmm.
edit itself just takes so long. It's just like
Yeah.
just the physical act of editing and like cutting those clips and making sure everything looks good. It takes a long time. Um,
Yeah, it's definitely, I went for a ride the other day and then pulled out like 3 or 4 little sections and just did like little 60-second reels of it, and I was tried to tell like a little story, like little clips here, and I was like, "Man, this is so easy." Like I did 4 of these in like an hour, where it's
yeah,
like, oh god, the video I'm working on right now, I'm probably already like 4 or 5 hours into, and I'm probably like 3 minutes into the edit. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. The thing for me with the short form is I basically make a new product for every video,
Mhm.
and I try to do 2 or 3 videos a week. So that's the time-consuming part for me is designing it in Fusion 360 and then printing it or machining it or whatever I'm gonna do,
Yeah.
and then the filming and then the editing. I do like an hour. Typically, do it like an hour before I post it,
Mhm.
and then it's up. But now that maybe the design and printing takes like 6 7 hours or more.
Mhm.
Um, but now with the long form content, it's like still takes the same amount of time to design something, but then I'm also spending the same amount of that amount of time like editing.
Yeah.
So it's challenging. It's a fun process though. I really wanted to learn how to get better at that long format
Yeah.
storytelling and trying to keep people engaged and bring some value more. The thing I like about long form is I feel like I can bring more value than just a quick kind of clips designed for virality and high engagement in
Mhm.
30 seconds. Like I feel like I
So
can
is the
really teach
idea
people.
like the videos are gonna be like how you made and generated the short, or is it gonna be something like you wanna make something completely different for that long form than what your
Bit of
shorts?
bit of both. I think there's oftentimes something I want to teach, like some challenge I overcame in the design process for one of the short form videos, like with the Lego pedals. It was, getting them to be strong enough to actually ride with, and like um, designing them such that when they printed a Lego will actually stick to this 3D printed part. There's just like a bunch of um, different challenges in there. So I feel like there's some value in sharing that. And then
Mhm.
also I have some projects that I want to do that are just kind of more suited for long format video. Like right now, I'm working on some 3D printed airless tires made out of TPU. So that's kind of like just a longer process. And I feel like for the effort that goes into something like that, I want to document more of it.
Yeah, it's more of a story there. I think people really like watching things get built as well.
Yeah, I
So
think so.
I think it would be like it's really a type of video that appeals to any audience. Like, you're not a mountain biker, you know what I mean? You're an inventor or creator, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. That's my goal with any piece of content I put out, is to reach in some direction beyond just the cycling community. And it's always really fun when that happens, because for example, I did the video where I put a camera inside my tire before I set it up as a tubeless, before I did a tubeless setup, and got lots of people that were like, they'd never heard of a tubeless tire before. They had no idea what sealant was. And it
Yeah.
was just really fun, like answering those questions in the comments and seeing people that like had no idea about mountain bikes just enjoy the video.
Yeah. It's interesting. How did you like that? I did watch that the other day, and
Where's that light? Oh, it's a little keyring light. It's like a little keyring rechargeable.
so you
light
like
that I put
super
stuck
glued
on
it
it.
inside of the tire or something like that, so that you knew
Yeah,
it was in
double-sided.
place, or?
It used like a double-sided Gorilla Tape, and had that
Uh-huh.
on one spot on the rim, and then there's just a little bit around the rim. I had a old GoPro Session in there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and that
And then you
was
just
it.
popped it on, hit record, popped it on, and tried to seat it and everything and not mess it up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it actually worked pretty well. I was hoping to get more footage once I put the sealant in, but then I wanted to do a puncture and repair, but you just couldn't see anything once the sealant was in there. You couldn't see anything.
It just got all over the lens, and it was kind of.
Yeah, I had coated the lens with like a hydrophobic coating, but it didn't really work well. The sealant kind of just filmed it over, and you couldn't see anything.
Huh. That's a drag. Yeah, that's pretty rad. I mean, I think it's probably really fun to just come up with like how you're going to accomplish the goal as well, you know?
Yeah, totally. I like those kind of challenges, and I like that I like trying those things. I had no idea if that video was gonna be a hit at all, or people would enjoy it, because it's like I didn't build anything. But it was really popular, and I like it a lot, because it's a different kind of challenge. How do I film this? And it's kind of like a bit educational. It was really cool to see the bead on the inside of the tire expanding, and moisture forming in the air without the pressure. So a lot of cool stuff going on there.
Yeah, definitely. It's and it's one of those things too that it just like probably, feels good just because of your own curiosity. Like, I wonder what that looks like in there. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So I was really surprised that you could see the as you rode down the street, you could see the backside of the treads like pushing up through the casing. Which is really cool. I didn't expect that. It's always cool when you don't expect something.
So you just had the GoPro like tape, like double-sided tape to the rim itself or something?
Yeah, exactly. But like it's like this red this stuff that you see on the back of the GoPro mounts, like the really heavy stuff. Yeah.
What is that stuff called? I've been wanting to get some of that.
This is 3M. I think it's VHB, double-sided tape.
Oh man, I need to write.
Good stuff. And you normally would either use a lighter or a heat gun to stick it on, and it's some of the toughest stuff around.
What was the letters afterwards?
VHB, I believe it's called. I can't actually see it in the back of the roll here.
Like B as in Bravo, or V?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll
Victor
see if I
Hotel
can find
Bravo.
Something. Yeah, I was thinking about making something the other day, and I was like, man, I need some of that tape, and I don't know what the hell it. Like, I knew it was 3M. I knew that much because it's like written all over the GoPro shit. But I was like, 3M tape, red. Like you get a million things. So
it's crazy stuff. I had stuck a flexible solar panel on top of my van once, and with the VHB tape, and then my wife and I needed to put some stuff on some racks on for a trip we were doing, and we spent like 6 hours peeling off one solar panel just so we could put racks in the car. And we're like, never again. Never again. It's so tough.
So yeah, they have some crazy adhesives out there that are just like unbelievably strong. So
you got to think about like the steel inserts, I think they're steel. Yeah, they're steel inserts that are in the carbon cranks where you thread your pedals in.
Yeah.
Are bonded with, like, those aren't press fit. That's a type of epoxy that's used to, and just think about the forces there.
Yeah. Well, I had a
Of course,
guy
I bent mine, so
right.
there's take it.
Right. I had a guy on just a couple weeks ago. He's making a bike and it's machined. So like the two halves of the frame are epoxied together.
That's so sick.
Yeah, it's pretty rad.
Is it a one-off thing?
No, he's starting a company. It's just going to be a boutique brand. It's called Ministry Cycles. You should check it out on.
Right.
Yeah. The bike looks sick, man. It's just like really, definitely. It is. It looks pretty rad. Like in my mind, the way I would explain it is like it's like the DeLorean of mountain bikes. You know what I mean? It just looks super clean. You're like, man, that thing looks rad. It's all square and angles and stuff.
It is a super cool looking bike. Is he also got the gear, not the gearbox, but it's like the drivetrain is up ahead of the crankset?
Yeah.
Is that him as well?
I can't remember right now if he's doing I think he has the pinion in there as well, the pinion gearbox.
Oh, it's a pinion?
I can't remember. I'm drawing a blank right now. Like as soon as you said it, I could picture it, but I'm like, is that actually right? I can't remember. There's some interesting stuff coming out, man. I really think that especially with the e-bikes the way that they are nowadays, that's going to be what like makes the pinion kind of, or some kind of gearbox kind of come to fruition. Because
totally. Do you have an e-bike?
No, not yet. I've ridden one. Honestly, the only reason I don't have one is money. Like I would totally have one if I had the money, but right now I just keep spending the money on more analog bikes. So.
My wife and I bought 2 used ones, 2 Rocky Mountain Altitudes.
Mm-hmm.
They're a blast. I originally wanted one because I go to a bunch of group rides out here in California, and I want to avoid driving just to ride my bike. So with e-bike, I can do like 10-mile ride to the group ride the group ride, and then a 10-mile ride back. Where I wouldn't really want to do that on my analog bike. But anyway, they're sick. But the drivetrain, it sucks. I mean, it's like I got a nice drivetrain on there.
Your mic's rubbing again.
I got a nice drivetrain on there, but like it just eats chains and eats cassettes. Because it's like 2 people pedaling one bike.
Because of the torque, it's just so much more torque on there.
So much torque. Even when you're not shifting, just the amount of force per tooth is basically double what it would just be for just me.
Right. Are they making do they make e-bike specific cassettes? I thought they did.
They make e-bike rated cassettes.
So they're not using a different metal then, basically, which they should be. They should be using something harder then, huh?
I mean, it's also just a matter of stretching your chain more quickly.
Yeah.
And the way it shifts as well when you are shifting under power.
Right.
You might not really notice it when you're just pedaling a regular bike, but suddenly a light pedaling action on an e-bike is still putting out, like, if you can imagine, like standing up and cranking with your maximum force and also shifting up at the same time.
Right.
That's kind of what it's like to shift an e-bike with a light pedaling action. And so,
right, because it's not like there's a clutch. You're just freaking jamming that thing into the gear, right?
It just sounds horrible. Yeah, you're just shifting. You're just shifting under power. Right. So we actively try to, just gingerly turn those pedals while shifting, and just be smart about your shifting, like you had to be in the old days before cassettes worked really well to shift under power. You'd see a hill coming up and you'd shift beforehand, not shift while you're on the hill. But e-bikes just eat drivetrains, and some other type of drive would be very welcome.
Yes, I mean at the very least having the belt drive and a gearbox in there would just make sense. Especially when you're not really concerned about the weight. Like I could see, like on the analog side, people being like, "No, I don't want to do that. It weighs so much more." Whatever the reasons are, I can like kind of understand. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But with an e-bike, it's like, no, it doesn't matter.
That's the thing. I'm not really a big fan of like the like lightweight e-bikes, because it just seems like it's like a different activity to me.
Mm-hmm.
I like our bikes are they're almost 70 pounds. They're like the big Rocky Mountains with the extended battery.
Yeah.
And we're just going out for like long days. You just ride them differently. Like to me, it's more like riding my old like 150 off-road, just zipping around on the dirt bike on trails. Just it's a different style of riding, and it's fun. But I don't want a lightweight e-bike. If I'm just gonna do mountain bike trails, I'll ride my regular bike.
Yeah, maybe I should get one before I like really put some time on one before I really sink my money into one. Because in my mind, I feel like I would want the lightweight one, because in my head I'm like, I just want to pedal. I want the assist to get up the hill fast, but I want to descend and it feel like my regular bike.
I think it depends upon where you live and what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like out here in California, there's a lot of stuff that I'll ride on the e-bike because it's fun on the e-bike, going 20 miles an hour, that I just won't touch on my analog bike because it's kind of boring.
Mm-hmm.
But these are these are like kind of wide trails that are, we're going to the beach, 15 miles away or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's really fun on the e-bike. But I don't do a lot of like shuttling kind of riding. Maybe if you're gonna do, you're just trying to get to the top of your descent, then a lightweight e-bike would be pretty nice.
Yeah, we do a lot of rides that have like, just monster climb, but then you're like getting it all back in descent. It's like, okay, we climbed for 9 miles, but now we're descending for 9. Like, so in my mind, it's like, yeah, if I could get up to the top of that, like super fast, but then I still like when I did ride an e-bike, I just felt like, I mean, obviously it weighs so much more. So the braking was like way different. And just the way that the bike kind of threw it around. Maybe it's just, I need to get used to like riding one. And then I'm like, I won't even care.
I love the suspension feel of a heavy bike. Just so plush. You just get so, it just, it's like riding a dirt bike, the bike's so heavy, you get so much less feedback from the ground because the frame, the sprung weight doesn't move around as much.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like if you put a gearbox in an e-bike, man, people will lose their freaking minds. They'll be like, see, it is a motorcycle.
Gearbox e-bike would be pretty cool. Or like one of those like Nexus or roll off 7-speed hubs they have, like the internally geared ones. I have no idea if they'd hold up to e-bike power.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the way that the Zeroed is like all the gears are up in the crank area. And then it's just like a single cog on the back.
Yeah.
So, and then that puts more of your weight in the middle of the bike, which is like makes it handle better and things like that.
And a lot less unsprung weight, which is really nice. So suspension works better.
Yeah, I rode one of those Zeroeds, and it was like, it felt like you had a keel when you were like going through your turns. I mean, it just was like that weight being down there in the middle, it just was really phenomenal. But yeah, I don't know. I really feel like, as like a product guy that you were talking about, like I feel like the derailleur is just the worst possible invention for mountain biking. It's like, here's this essential part of your drivetrain that is like super important, and we're gonna dangle it down by the rocks that you're riding through.
See, that's what I don't get about the electronic derailleurs on mountain bikes, wireless derailleurs on mountain bikes. Like, how can you? I smash a lot of derailleurs per season. I'm like, how can you dangle $800 off the back there and be okay with it? Like, I would not be able to ride like I want to ride and be thinking about, a week's worth of pay there on the back of the bike.
Yeah, totally. I will say I've definitely gone down the Axis route though. I don't know. I just like how crisp it is. Yeah, I like how crisp it is. And I'm like one of those like mediocre mechanics. So you can be mediocre with an Axis and get it to shift perfect all the time. Whereas
you have a GX Axis?
Yeah, I have it on actually all 3 of my bikes.
Yeah.
It's all right. I've had to replace one. That hurt. That did hurt because it was like, I think it was like $350 or something like that.
Yeah, they're pricey. So I really love trials riding. It's another reason why I like that big torquey e-bike, because I love going out and doing like you know, getting up on rocks and doing steep climbs and stuff like that. But with the trial stuff, hopping around on the back wheel, you're always falling into like crevices or falling off right next to something really close.
Yeah.
Honestly, I go through probably like 5 derailleurs a year. So there's like,
Oh wow.
whenever I feel
Yeah.
whenever I demo a bike with a wireless derailleur on the back, I'm like, I just feel so dangerous. It's like living on the
Yeah.
edge.
Right. You're like, do you have like an extra insurance policy I can take out on this derailleur?
Yeah, it feels so dangerous. Yeah.
That's funny. So, what kind of riding do you like? So you're doing a lot of the trial stuff. Do you do like regular, more like traditional kind of trail mountain kind of stuff, or?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's like my workout every day. Go out for 30 minutes to an hour trail ride. Luckily, I have stuff right in the backyard. But I really love super technical riding. And yeah, anything kind of like trialsy in nature where I'm hopping around on my back wheel, rock to rock or log to log, or balancing on skinnies or pivoting on my front wheel. It's that's what I really love to do.
That's the good stuff. Are you going to Sedona this year?
I don't think so, although I think I would love riding there.
Yeah, Sedona's super fun.
Are you going?
Yeah. I've been going every year for, I don't know now. It's probably been like 5 years or something like that. But yeah, it's super fun. It's definitely, I think this year I'm going to try to spend a little more time around the fest and not be so like ride specific. Like last year, I really was like wanted to like accomplish a bunch of riding, and because of that, I really was barely at the fest, like barely there. So
I think that would be me too, and that's kind of why I'm not going during the festival.
yeah.
Yeah, and I also have a lot of work stuff going on, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So what do you do? What's your day job now? So you, after you left Canada, you came back to the States, got a job?
No, I'm actually doing this full time now. As of 2023, I was doing some freelance product design work in 2022 to help pay the bills, but now, yeah, having a go at it, doing full time content creator life in 2023.
Yeah. So like, how's the monetization like working out with like Instagram? Do you get anything from Instagram or
Actually,
TikTok?
yeah. So I have I get some money from views on TikTok and Instagram and YouTube, and then I have partners that I work with in the industry. So industry sponsors. So I get some pay there and riding gear and bikes. I work with Giro and Marin and Garmin, and I just started working with Jensen USA.
Oh, cool.
And then I do some brand deals outside of the cycling industry as well, random stuff that comes up, like sort of outdoors adjacent brands, like a soap company I just made a product for, and then I did a beef jerky Pez dispenser for Jack Link's beef jerky a couple months ago, and just fun stuff like that. If it fits the channel and it's a fun design project,
yeah,
and I can do a brand deal, it works out really well. And yeah, working on some products of my own now, mostly for the kind of like bike touring scene. I have a couple of designs that I'm working on getting to market.
So I first of all, your lab mic hates your jacket when you're leaning.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all right. Maybe if you just twist it a little bit or something. I don't know.
Sorry, dude.
Oh no, it's no worries. I'm an
amateur podcaster.
Yeah, it's all right, man. It's just, I'm sure somebody a month from now that's sitting in traffic is like, this is enough to make me go punch that guy next to me. So if it's you that's listening right now that we're speaking to, I'm sorry. But anyways, yeah, no, that's super rad. I bet that when COVID started and you started this channel, did you think that you were like going to be a full-time content creator, or was it just something like, this sounds fun?
No, not at all. I'm not the kind of person who can just sit still and like chill out and do nothing. So I started making these videos and really kind of looked at it from sort of very analytical engineer's perspective, like video structure. How do I make a 30-second video that people want to watch? I took a deep dive into like, the hook and the storyline and editing structure and, all that stuff that makes a video shareable and watchable over and over again.
Is there somebody in particular that you would follow on YouTube that you like to learn that stuff from, or?
Trying to think back now. I mean, one guy that definitely inspired the channel was, do you know Unnecessary Inventions?
No, I don't.
He does
I'll have
like
to check it out.
he's a great designer, and he does all sorts of every genre. He does product design, but definitely that style of product, of the kind of like the what do I say, like the one-off infomercial kind of style of video. Yeah.
There's a girl that I watch out of the Bay Area. I can't think of her name right now. Simone something.
Simone Yurts.
Yeah. She like makes like useless inventions, like this puts on my lipstick. Horribly.
Oh yeah, she's great. She also made the Tesla pickup truck from her Model S.
Yeah, she did.
She's
that
incredible.
Was pretty rad. Yeah, she was working with the guys from Mythbusters and stuff on some of her projects.
But so I kind of want to do like ultimate goal is to be like, Colin Furze.
Yes.
Yeah. So like Colin Furze meets Seth's Bike Hacks meets Unnecessary Inventions, like somewhere in that.
Yeah.
In that
like a Mark Rober kind of thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely
engineering meets outdoors in a very fun way.
I mean, I feel like it's a very palatable, like, content space to be in, like where you can reach anybody, like there's not a person that is on YouTube that probably hasn't seen like Mark Rober's like Glitter Bomb. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
And the video itself is like pretty freaking like technical of like, hey, this is how I did this is what I did, I use these like whatever, Arduinos or Raspberry Pis, or you know what I mean? It's like
he's an incredible storyteller.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. And the thing that I notice when I watch his videos are, even though they can be 15 minutes long, the pacing is still quick. It never leaves you sitting there like, okay, this little section is kind of boring. There's none of that. It's like watching a short form video. It's like that level of attention for 15 minutes.
Yeah. Mr. Beast does the same thing.
Yeah.
I've watched a bunch of his video, like people interviewing him and stuff, and the way that they talk about things, it's just like the attention to detail is like there and there and there. And it's like, I don't care if this video takes 3 months to make, if that makes it, 500 million views instead of 100 million views, it was worth it.
Yeah.
That guy's got a lot of really good advice. I think that, for as young as he is, and he's definitely got like the social media side kind of pegged.
But I never thought it would be a full-time thing, being a content creator per se. I thought that maybe I could build a bit of an audience, and then I had a number of product ideas in mind. And I thought, okay, maybe I'll build a bit of an audience and then do like a Kickstarter or something and start a small business, or maybe like a component company or something like that. But I like the design and content creation side of things far more than selling a physical product. And so as long as I can keep growing and keep doing that, I'm gonna stick with it. It's
so why don't you sell all of the things that you're creating? I went to your website and I saw some products on there, and I was like, to me, I feel like it'd be like the I don't know what those things are called, the like tracks that you use to get out of a like when you're four-wheeling and you get like stuck. Then you make some of those for a bike. That was like a little tiny ones, like as a spoof.
Yeah.
Like somebody could watch that video and be like, oh, I could get those for like $2. It'd just be funny, you know?
Yeah. I don't know if it's worth it. Like, it's just not worth it to me because, well, I don't like selling junk for one,
Uh-huh.
like novelty junk. I get,
Uh-huh.
I do post a lot of my files for free, and I'm slowly moving those over to my website. So people want to like make them themselves, they
Yeah.
can, they can make it themselves.
Yeah, but you
Um,
could sell that file though for like $1 though instead,
you know what
you know?
you know what I sold was the last winter I made snowplows for your Crocs,
Uh-huh.
and I sold that file on Etsy for $3, and I made like a little over 6 grand
Yeah.
selling Crocs snowplows 3D files.
That that's exactly what I'm talking about. It's like, why not like have it where it's like, okay, if you don't want to be printing it and selling it that way, cool. But you could like, why not monetize? Like you created this product, like it's what do they call it? It's like passive income. Like when you're selling that file, there's zero that you have to do, even if you sold it for 50 cents. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just a lot. I could some of them I will, like some of them that I know are going to be super high volume. I will, but a lot of what I like is just building that community of people that's excited about making stuff for their bikes. And I look at
Yeah.
my audience, and a lot of it is like 15 to 20-year-old kids,
Yeah.
and they want to, make a mud guard for their bike that I designed. So there it is on my website. They can download it. It's
Yeah.
free, and they can enjoy it. Because I'm not going to sell a lot of those. Maybe I'd make, a couple $100 off of that file over its lifetime, but it just doesn't seem worth it to me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then selling the physical items, I do have some physical items I'm going to be selling this year, actually. But as far as like the kind of goofy stuff, I just don't like selling. I just don't like selling junk, really.
Yeah. 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 It seems like it's a missed opportunity to me where you have this group of fans like the thing you showed earlier, the little magnetic plant holder, you
Yeah,
know, I could see somebody being like, that's funny. I'm gonna put that on my bike, you know?
totally. And that file's up on my website for free,
Oh,
but it's not really time. It's just not really time efficient. I mean, I can get rather than spending the time making all those units and shipping them out the door, I could spend a whole month doing that, or I could get one more brand deal.
yeah. No, I think what I was thinking is more like the files, just putting the files up there. Like you said, you made 6
Oh
grand
yeah,
off the files. Like to me, that time is like it's just a matter of posting it.
yeah. I am slowly listing all my files
Yeah.
on the website. It takes a bit of time to get them up there, and it takes
Yeah.
a bit because like a lot of them are like, okay, I made this thing. I try to never have to do a second print of anything. So I'll make something and it's like, it's a little bit too small to fit where I want it to fit. So I'll have to like heat it up with a heat gun.
Yeah.
And I write that down like in my notes on the video, like, okay, this was, 1 millimeter too small,
Yeah.
like the whole size or something. And so then before I post it on my website for a free file, I'm going to go back in
And
to
fix
my
it.
drawing software, fix it,
Yeah.
export it again, and then so it just takes a while to get everything up.
Yeah.
And
I
when
hear
I'm
you there.
making 2 or 3 new things a week, it can be pretty hard to get all those little things done.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. I
Yeah.
can
No,
relate to
you're
that.
right though. It's definitely a missed opportunity. I just have I have this kind of moral issue with selling junk, and that's like kind of because it's kind of what inspired the whole channel to start. Was like, man, they're marketing such useless crap. I'm gonna
Yeah.
make more ridiculous useless crap and just make funny videos about it, even though it's
Yeah.
not real, just to get people thinking, to get people talking, to
Yeah.
share kind of the fun of design.
But I think
um,
that's the fun part of it is just like you saw something, it made you laugh. And like, think about like, if you look at a 3D printing site, there's like a quadrillion freaking like completely useless things that people print to just like sit on their counter, you know? And then
yeah,
then there's like, 0. 3% of things that are actually useful that are on those sites compared to all the crap. So it's like, I don't know, to me it's like a novelty, like a souvenir. It's like I watched that video, I thought it was
Totally.
hilarious, and now I have the peanut butter spinner, or whatever.
Totally. That's why I'm slowly putting the files up. I've had
Yeah.
mixed feelings about that too. I feel like maybe I don't know, maybe having a bunch of those things out in the world sort of waters down my brand a little bit, but
Yeah.
I think it's worth it for the fun that the community has with it.
Yeah.
And how rewarding it is for somebody to be able to like really like a video and then go get the file and make it themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be cool if there was like a way that they could like if you put reviews on the thing or something like that, and people could like put their own pictures of the item, like if they modified it or they like put it on their bike or whatever, that would be
Totally.
neat.
I should
But
set that up.
that's like way too much work then. Now I'm going down a rabbit hole.
Right now I have, so when you go to get a free thing on my site, you still have to like check out. You just like put in your
Yeah.
name and address. And I like seeing, the only thing I like about that is seeing all the different places around the world where people are
Yeah.
making my stuff. And that's just super cool.
Yeah.
I like looking at the map. There's like a little globe you
Yeah.
can look at in Shopify, and it shows all the spots where people have downloaded the
I think
files.
Shopify should probably have an Etsy plugin, so you'd be able to display everything on an Etsy shop on your website and then not have to like really go through the effort of kind of like posting in both places or something like that.
Oh, I stopped using Etsy. I'm not a
Yeah.
fan of Etsy anymore. It's just a place to get ripped off, really.
Oh, really? Why do you
Just a-
feel that
it's
way?
it's just a place for people to rip off your design. So like last winter I made the Crocs snowplows and just listed the file for $3. And then this year, when it came into season, I just happened to look back because I saw the videos getting some views again. And on Etsy, there were 25 different sellers selling small variations of my design on their sites, because you can see the sales and you can see when it's popular. And mine was like the top of Crocs for like a month was my design. So everybody just downloaded it, changed it slightly, and then they're selling the physical item, which is what I don't want. I don't want stupid junk for sale. And so now I'm like mad. Now I'm mad because like there's all these copies of my design on Etsy, people selling Crocs snowplows. And the same thing happened with the Crocs. I made a light bar for Crocs, and then somebody like,
Yeah, I saw that on Instagram.
yeah, and then there's like a bunch of different Crocs light bars for sale. I'm like, oh, damn it, no more Etsy, man.
But the thing is it's like supply and demand, man. Like people actually want it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but the thing is, like, no one seller is making any significant amount of money from the
Right.
Crocs snowplows anymore. It's so spread out because there's so many copies.
Yeah.
And I've even seen like injection molded copies, like from a Chinese company selling Crocs snowplows, but no one person's making any, like I couldn't make any sort of decent money selling Crocs snowplows because there's 30 people copying the idea.
Right.
And
like, so if you're going to make money, it's got to be in the first like 3 months or first month or first week or whatever it is, until people catch on that it's selling.
Totally. And even if you have something that's patentable, it's still very difficult to protect that. I mean, basically, getting a patent on something is just giving you a license to pay a lawyer to defend that patent, because you're still going to have the same issues with copycats. And it's quite a bit of work. So I have the luxury of having, an audience of like 300,000 people or more across platforms, where when I have an idea and I want to sell something, I can get on it, I can get it out to market, and then move on to the next thing. Whereas, the small guy, the small creator that has a great idea that takes a bit of time to get out in the world doesn't have that same luxury.
Yeah. I had a great idea, but it didn't sell. I put it on Etsy. Nobody cares.
What was your great idea?
Oh, I made baseball hats and feet for Ring cameras.
Sorry?
Like, so that if you look over my shoulder right over there, it's a Ring camera.
Yeah. Okay.
And,
okay. Yeah.
So he's got a hat on. Like like a little baseball hat, and you can make like a cowboy hat or whatever. And I thought like people that have them in their house sitting around, like I thought it would be funny, like like now it's not just some dumb camera; it's a camera with a hat.
Did you sell any?
Nope, not a single one.
Dude,
but
that's
maybe
tough.
I need
That's
to
how
make.
I feel posting on YouTube right now. I put all that time and effort into making that behind the scenes how to the Lego video.
Yeah.
Watched it over again myself. I'm like, yeah, this is great. And then I posted it. It's got like 600 views. And like the last week, I'm like, damn it.
But you're just starting. So I mean,
I
you
know.
don't have.
I'm just starting with, especially with long form. I think it seems to be a totally different algorithm. Like nobody that's watching my shorts gets fed my long form videos.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the only way to like get it to them would be like plugging that in as like a, hey, check out my other channel kind of thing somehow into one of your shorts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or check out my other content, or I don't know how you do that. Like, but yeah, because they're totally different, like audiences, completely different.
Totally different. And in a way, that's a good thing. Because I mean, I think the average shorts viewer is a lot younger. They're watching it at a different time. They're scrolling on their phone. Whereas the long form viewer is somebody who's going to, sit down at 5 p.m. and watch a 10-minute video while they're eating dinner or something. Just like a different state of mind.
I don't think the younger is right on the short form though.
You don't think so?
I feel like no. I think that it's so engaging that it doesn't matter how old you are. I mean, I can tell you even personally, like I'm scrolling through my own Facebook feed trying to see what my friends are doing, and they inject a reel in there in the middle of it, and I am on reels or whatever they call them on Facebook, and I'm watching reels for 15 minutes before I even realize that I'm not looking at what my friends are doing anymore. you know what I mean?
Suck, man.
Yeah.
I had to make a personal rule of no scrolling because it is such a time suck.
Yeah. Yeah. What I've done is took up another hobby that didn't have to do with my phone. So during COVID, I decided I wanted to learn how to do the Rubik's Cube. And that's basically like what I'm fidgeting with instead of like scrolling on my phone at night or whatever.
Are you good at the Rubik's Cube?
Right now, I'm at like my best time's around 40 seconds. And I've been purposely like still using the beginner method. And there's other ways to like bring my time way down. But I've been just trying to get super consistent at under a minute on the beginner method. Then I want to go like, and what it's helping me do is like kind of like learn my finger movements and dexterity and all that. And then I think I'll be able to like, I think my goal right now is like, it would be rad to get like 15-second time or something like that.
What do you think about combining your two hobbies, like doing a Rubik's Cube while you're like banging one-handed through a rock garden downhill? Like GoPro chest mount, Rubik's Cube in one hand, handlebar in the other hand.
Dude, those guys that are like they actually the one-handed Rubik's Cube people are actually really crazy fast. It's unbelievable how fast they are. But
you're still on two hands? Oh, you're a real beginner then.
Yeah, I'm totally a beginner. Yeah.
Just kidding. I can't do one at all.
Yeah. No, it's dude, it's been like it is definitely a time suck. It's interesting. So it's been fun though. Do you ever watch Mike Boyd? Do you ever watch his channel?
Love Mike Boyd. Yeah.
Yeah. I think he was part of the inspiration because originally he did a video that was like learn how to do it in under 2 minutes.
He's also super interesting. He's sort of like Tom Scott, in where he can just make a video about anything.
Yeah.
And like people want to watch it. I mean, I want to watch it because it's so good.
I think the premise of like seeing how long it actually takes to do something, it just like is always really intriguing to me. And like amazing is not the right word, but something like that. It's like, oh, wow. Like when you put the time to it, let's just say for him on the Rubik's Cube, since that's what we were talking about, let's just say it was like 6 hours or something like that he actually spent to get to that, where you're like when he learned how to do a manual for like 50 meters, it was like, it wasn't 18 weeks. It was, 12 hours. And you're like, okay, well, maybe it was over 12 weeks, an hour a week. But when you think about it in like, oh, it's only 12 hours, you're like, well, why am I not learning how to rip a phone book in half? You know, it only took him 45 minutes to figure that out.
His videos are super interesting to me because personally I find, like, if I go out to the dirt jump park and I want to learn a new trick, I find I don't progress a lot within a session, but I progress a lot between sessions. You know, where I like try a trick and then try it 50 times that session, don't get it. I'll come back the next session and get it in the first couple of tries.
Yeah.
Whereas Mike Boyd tends to learn stuff like on the spot. Like you can watch him learning stuff. And I always thought that was super interesting. Like just not how we all have different styles, but it's just like not how I learn things.
Some people are just fast learners too. I mean, I remember, do you ever play darts?
Yeah.
I've played darts for a long time. I remember teaching somebody how to play darts once, and like within like 45 minutes, they were like whooping my ass, and I'd been playing darts for years. You know, it was just like, this is insane. You just like couldn't barely hit the board an hour ago. And you know, it's
totally
super interesting. He did some inventing here not too long ago too. I don't know if you saw that video. He did a video on like people that cheat at chess.
Oh,
and there was a guy that allegedly had a butt plug in, a vibrating butt plug.
Yes.
That was interesting.
That was an interesting video, yeah.
His thumbnail was so clickbaity. It was like, this is clearly a sex toy, and what the fuck is he talking about? Like there's like almost no way you could click on it, you know?
I believe for the video, he strapped it to his ankle, right?
Yeah, he didn't have
but the premise is really interesting. Yeah. It's funny. It's like I've never heard about chess until like the last 6 months, where there's been like this scandal with the dude who supposedly cheats via butt plug, via vibrating remote controlled butt plug.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. So there's so many things though, and I think the having a 3D printer makes you really start thinking about like inventing things. So like you, for example, are somebody that's gone to school and like already has that like kind of professional way of looking at things probably, and like problem solving and thinking about it. But I think for like the average Joe, if you go out and you buy one, all of a sudden you really start looking at things in like a whole different light. And it's been, for me, like super interesting.
I think that's a lot of what attracts people to buying new tools in general. Like why it's fun to go walk through the aisles at Lowe's or like Harbor Freight. Just to be like, it gives you ideas about how things can be constructed. Like if you're someone who does a lot of woodworking and suddenly you're like, wow, they've got this tool that lets me make the perfect dovetail every time, and I don't have to use my handsaw. Like suddenly your list of things you can build in your head, you just imagine things differently.
Yeah.
And 3D printer is just another one of those tools, right? Like it lets your imagination work a little differently because it gives you the physical means to make something happen.
I think I'm a creative person, so I think because of that, that's really what it comes down to. Like, oh, I can make stickers with my Cricut, or I can make T-shirts with my Cricut. You know, I can make, you know, some tool or some like cable clips with my 3D printer for my bike. Like I can, you know, like ultimately for me, it really just comes down to having ideas and like creating things. I really like creating things.
Yeah, totally. What's your full-time gig?
I do IT. I'm a project manager at this point. So I'm just
oh, cool.
Yeah. I used to do more like the technical stuff back in the day, but
that's kind of like Joe at Trail Features. You ever talk to him about that?
Yeah.
He's an IT guy, right?
Definitely. Yeah. He does. I think he's still a little more on the technical side, where I kind of went into management years ago, and then after that, it's like now I'm like project manager. Basically, I'm like an email jockey.
Nice.
That just knows how shit works instead of like having to actually make the shit work.
Yeah.
It's definitely interesting. You know, I like IT. I'm like ADD, so I like IT because it changes constantly. So it keeps me intrigued that way, because you can't stop learning. You have to like keep learning something else all the time.
I love being a beginner at stuff.
Yeah.
It's so fun. I just learned
It's
how to
almost
ski.
like, go ahead.
Oh, I said I just learned how to ski this winter. I've always
Sweet.
snowboarded before. That's been a lot of fun. And last year I learned how to kiteboard.
Mhm.
I just love being a beginner. I think that's probably a thing we have in common.
Yeah. I think it's probably something to do with I really like that passion that you have for something whenever you first learn it, you know? Like when
Yeah.
I first started doing YouTube, like there was probably like 3 or 4 months that pretty much there was zero conversation with me that didn't have anything to do with YouTube. Like you could be like, let me talk to you about religion, and I would tie it into YouTube somehow. You know, like it was just that was like I was just totally interested, you know, and it had like my 100% attention. Like Rubik's Cube was that way for a long time. And, like I always am like going to the next thing, to the next thing, the next thing, and then some of the things stick, like mountain biking. Obviously, I've been doing that for a long time, but yeah, I guess it's similar. It's that I like learning, you know.
Yeah. I think the
Like,
thing that I found most fascinating about the last, year, like I think a year ago I had like 8,000 followers on Instagram. And just as I've grown over the past year, getting to meet other people that do the same thing, and also getting to work with the brands that I've like looked up to for a really long time. It's so cool to have a bit of a behind the scenes look at how stuff works. And some of it's the way you think it is, and some of it's totally different.
yeah.
But yeah.
How'd you get hooked up with Garmin?
It was from a video. Oh, I made a bunch of stuff that goes in the Garmin mount. Bunch of different things. There was like a taco holder. There was a plant. There's like a planter that goes in your Garmin mount. And at some point, someone from Garmin reached out to me because a bunch of them went kind of viral, and they wanted to work together. We started like with everything, we started working together pretty casually at first, and now I have a contract with them. Yeah,
that's really rad.
Yeah, they're super cool. And that was the same thing with Giro. I made some crossbars that went on one of their helmets, and like a little rooftop rack, and to carry stuff on my rides. And one of their marketing guy reached out to me, and I've been working with them ever since.
Oh, that's right.
So now the way
how does that work? They're like, hey, just invent something for us like once a year or every quarter or something like that, or?
Yeah, so the way it works with them is I think this year we did like we're going to do 6 videos together. And they get to choose kind of, or not, they don't get to choose the video, but they get to suggest like if they're pushing something at the time. Like they were just recently trying to, they launched a new full face helmet. And they're like, how can you showcase this helmet on your channel? So what I did was I made the magnetic goggle attachments. So like ditch the strap and the goggles go on magnetically. And then we
the part when you poked yourself in the eye, that was classic. I was like,
oh yeah. So we do those kind of collaborations. And then we did some self-lacing shoes. I did a visor for one of their helmets that always faces the sun. So like no matter which way you turn your head, it always shades your face.
Yeah. So when you did the self-lacing shoe, how did you control that?
I had a little Bluetooth remote on my handlebar, just kind of like, it was a servo going to just a little like Bluetooth controller I had with a like lithium, like a little drone battery plugged into it.
Interesting. Okay.
So it was
and
like
then
a
basically
servo.
the Bluetooth would just like tell the servo like turn on, turn off, go forward, go backward.
Yeah. So I removed the like limiter from the servo so it could keep spinning in the same direction and kind of just wind it up like a motor. So basically I just wanted it as a gearbox, and then I just had forward and backwards control on the Bluetooth controller.
Interesting.
And then it would wind up the cable from the boa around the pulley on the servo.
How do you learn how to like do that? Like to me, like I understand how it's like what a servo is, but I wouldn't know how, like in my mind, I would be like, oh, I need an Arduino or a Raspberry Pi or something that I can write code on to like tell it to do something. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I've always been into RC stuff, so a lot of the sort of mechatronic contraptions I'll make, I try to base them around like hobby RC stuff, drones or RC cars or crawlers or whatever. It's pretty useful stuff. Like a servo is just a gearbox with a proportional controller in it. And so basically at that point, I was like, well, I want the gearbox part, but I don't want it to stop after 180 degrees. So I just YouTube, like, how do I make a servo keep going the same direction?
yeah.
And then I was like, how do I control a servo with a Bluetooth? And I found a little thing on Amazon that's like servo tester Bluetooth control thing. Like, yeah, a lot of it's just searching for stuff. Yeah. I feel like that's where the engineering degree comes in handy. It just, it's not that you learn anything. It's not that there's anything in particular that's super important there, but it is a problem solving degree.
Yeah.
And it teaches you how to think critically. So it makes like solving those problems across a wide variety of genres a little bit easier.
Yeah. I think my experience in IT has taught me how to Google the fuck out of shit. Because I mean, really, like that, like totally a joke, but I mean, like that's the God honest truth. Like all the years of like being able to fix anything, it's like you don't have all that knowledge, and there's no way that you can.
Of course,
but if you know how to search, like
Googling is a skill, man.
Then you're good. Yeah, it is. Apparently,
knowing what to search for is half the battle. Yeah.
Being able to weed shit out quickly and be like, nope, that's not it. This is the right direction. But yeah, that's crazy. So that's cool. So you're working with a couple of different brands, and
I just started working with Marin Bikes as well. We have a similar relationship as I do with Giro, doing some collaboration videos together, and I'll be going to some events with them as well, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's rad. I saw on their website the other day they have like a buy one get one free on the bikes right now.
Yeah, they do. It's some of their hardtails, I think.
Yeah. I was like, what the heck? That's crazy.
I didn't expect to love their bikes as much as I do.
Yeah.
I rode a couple of them before we started working together. And then now that I've had their new, like I have their trail bike, their Rift Zone, and it's so much fun.
Yeah.
And it's just with my channel, I'm pretty picky about like the brands I work with, and I tried to find a really relatable bike brand to work with. I felt like, I could promote a bike in that price range, like the $3,000 to $4,000 price range.
Yeah, they're really economical. They're real economical bikes.
The value there. There's a great value proposition there.
Yeah. So, I have a Marin gravel bike.
Nice.
Yeah. Oddly enough, I bought it from Kyle Warner. Do you know who Kyle Warner is?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. I did not know when I bought it from him who Kyle Warner was.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you
so
buy
this
it?
dude shows up. Huh?
Where'd you buy it?
On Craigslist.
On Craigslist.
Yeah, on Craigslist. And so I was like, man, this is a really good deal on this thing. So, and the guy's like, yeah, I'll bring it by your house. I'm like, sweet, this is even better. Like, dude shows up in this Sprinter van. I'm like talking to him, and he sees all my mountain bikes in the garage, and he's like, "Oh, you ride mountain bike?" I'm like, yeah. How about you? He's like, yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, we get to talking, and then,
you didn't know who he was before you
Zero
showed up.
clue. Even after he told me who he was, he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm a professional downhill racer." I was like, "Oh, right on, sweet." And he, just like kind of played it off or whatever. And then as soon as he left, I was like Googling, it's like, oh shit, this guy's legit. Yeah.
That's
I'm
wild.
definitely not a person that like follows professionals, and I think that's kind of like why I make my content the way that I do. It's like that stuff's not really super important to me. Like I could care less who won whatever the EWS is or what bike they're riding. Like it doesn't really.
I really love that stuff.
Yeah.
What do you enjoy?
I
love the athletes. I love the athletes. I love the skill. I mean, I used to be really into racing, slalom and downhill. I
Yeah.
love the skill, and I love they just ride. There's just a different breed. They're a different breed.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a different. I don't know exactly what's going on in their head, but they look at things
Yeah.
differently than you and I do, and
Yeah.
because of that, they can handle a bike differently and make it do things that you and I can't do. And I think
Yeah.
it's so
No.
cool.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting to me, like in those aspects, or like watching that, like a show sort of like the Pink Bike Show, wherever they're like, aspiring young racers or whatever. Like it's super fun to watch, but it's just definitely not. It's not what like makes me decide what bike I want to buy. Like I'll be 100% honest. Like I decide what bike I want to buy by like first whether or not I like the way it looks. Like then second, like okay, ride it.
That's great. Hey, I love
Yeah.
it. I love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
I'm totally a function over form guy. I'm also not that great with colors. I think my wife thinks I'm colorblind, so I just totally kind of discount looks right off the bat. I'm like, no, how does it ride?
yeah,
How does it ride?
yeah,
How much does it cost?
yeah.
What groups
Yeah,
have we
I
got on
could care
here?
less if it costs more and rides not as good, but if it looks awesome, then I'm like, is this great? I can't,
Oh
yeah.
man, I would never admit that, but I give you a lot of respect for
Oh yeah.
just being honest about
Oh
that.
yeah. Yeah, I'm completely ridiculous. But I'm also like super brand loyal. So like once I lock into one, I'm like, dude, this is all I'm buying. Until something like either severely goes wrong with that brand or somehow I get like turned on to another one. So everybody that
Actually,
watches, go
yeah.
ahead.
Oh, I'm the same way I'm more the same way about like athletes. Like I love watching do you know Mark Matthews?
Sounds
And
familiar.
he rides for Marin, and like his POV videos and his trail building videos just like my absolute favorite things to watch.
Yeah.
And as far as bike content goes, and it got me hooked on like the Marin brand a few years ago, and I'm like, gotta get on those bikes, like
Yeah. Yeah.
every time I watch one of his videos, I'm like so psyched to be riding that Marin bike again. I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. Are they still based in Marin?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, they're a global brand now, but yeah, they're based in Marin. Yep.
Right on. Have you come up to their spot up here in Marin?
Haven't yet. No. I got to
Yeah.
get up there. I'm pretty new to California, so just exploring the state still.
Yeah. So you're
But it's
down in the LA area, you said?
down in the LA area, just north of LA. But it's a big state, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, driving from here up to Northern California is like me when I lived in New York driving down to North Carolina to go ride bikes. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. I live in Sacramento, so
Oh, really?
yeah. And so being from Pennsylvania, my family will call and be like, "Oh, I'm in San Diego. Do you want to meet me for lunch?" I'm like, "Yeah, next time I'm in Jacksonville, Florida, I'll give you a call." Like it's
Totally.
very far away.
Very far away. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely I've been meaning to go down to SoCal and do some riding, and I just haven't really got many chances. But last summer I drove down and went to Santa's Village. Have you ridden up there?
Oh yeah, Sky Park.
Yeah, that place is super fun.
It is super fun, and Big Bear right next door is also super fun.
Yeah, I could see that, if I lived down there, I would probably only go a couple of times and then I'd be over it because it is super small. But I think the thing that I liked about that place was like just how much that they packed into such a small area.
Absolutely.
And so much of it was like some really good skill building stuff. I really would love to see something like that be more like the norm for every city to have something like that,
Yeah. Yeah, more public bike parks for sure. I mean, they're not public; they're privately owned. But yeah,
Yeah.
public bike parks like that would be great.
But yeah, I mean, even privately owned. I mean, what would you think that there's no way all those trails are like maybe on a quarter mile square, like a square quarter mile, maybe a square half mile at the most.
It's pretty small. They do fit a lot into that small space.
Yeah,
It's cool because you're like crossing under and over other trails on your way down.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable how much stuff they have squeezed into there. And I don't know. I just thought it was really rad.
That's
I would,
that's a SoCal hotspot for sure. Santa's Village there, and that's like the e-bike. That's like the e-bike park, right? Because there's no lifts.
yeah.
And then right
Yeah, I
next
climbed
door,
like
big.
3,000 feet that day on the analog bike. I was like, it's just a lot of climbing.
We always do the towing thing. We always bring a little strap, and I tow people up
Nice.
with the e-bike. It's super fun.
I feel like there's some kind of towing gimmick that you could do on your channel.
For sure. You know what? A company just sent me this little thing that like hooks on under your seat. It's like a retractable.
Uh-huh.
It's pretty badass. I gotta show that on the channel at some point.
Yeah. Somebody else was like trolling something. I like made a post. My buddy was dragging me up the hill with his e-bike, and they were saying about that like potentially like messing up people's droppers because like it's like torsional force on the seat post that you wouldn't expect to be there or something. Do you think that's an issue?
I mean, yes, but I also think that droppers are rated for big people to ride them, and big people put a lot of force on droppers. I don't really see the towing being more of an issue than just a big dude riding bike.
Yeah.
Maybe you've had the big dude riding the bike plus towing another big dude on the analog bike behind them. That might be pushing the limits of what the dropper can do. But these
That's
days,
definitely what we were doing.
yeah. But I mean, these days they're all rebuildable.
Yeah.
I'd be more thinking about my drivetrain. Like it's gonna eat through chains and cassettes way faster than it does any damage to a dropper post.
Yeah. Yeah. Who knows? I mean, good old internet, man. They have, it was made for comments, right?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've never
What's
broken a dropper though, and I'm like seat bouncing off of lips and whatever. Like, I don't know.
I would say the only thing that's come closest to like doing any kind of damage to a dropper would be just like over tightening your seat post or something like that, like your clamp, and maybe screwing it up that way or something. But I definitely haven't heard anybody like bending the post so that it didn't go down,
Yeah. It'd be pretty tough to do, I think.
That's a pretty rigid piece of metal, man. You know what I mean? I would imagine that top post, you think it's hollow?
The top?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hollow.
It is? Okay. But I mean, depending on how thick that wall is, that'd be a lot of torsion you'd have to be yanking.
Well, the thing is with tubing, like most of the difference between a solid bar and a tube of the same diameter, most of the interior part of the solid bar is not providing any additional strength, any additional torsional resistance versus what's there in the tubing. And in some cases, the tubing itself the hollow tubing is actually stronger than a solid piece of the same diameter.
There you have it, right out of the engineer's mouth. Freaking golden. That's funny.
But yeah, you got your air chamber inside there, and sometimes you got some damper inside there so it doesn't hit you in the balls on the way up. But
yeah, right.
Yeah. Do you have an electronic dropper?
No, because they don't make them long enough. I wish that they made a 200. If they had a 200, like SRAM made one, I would buy it.
Oh yeah.
But just because, like, oh man, it'd be so great just not to have to deal with that cable. And like, if you're doing something, you just take it off and put it right back in. And like, I don't know. I just love the idea of not having the cable. But
what bike do you have now that you're running the dropper on?
I have a Chameleon hardtail.
Okay.
I have a Bronson, and I have a Tall Boy. And they all have a
dropper. I was a little frustrated with my 5010 that I was riding for a while, dealing with the dropper cable, because it comes out kind of high in the seat tube, and I'm like, man, I'm losing like 30 mils of dropper insert here.
Do you have the newer? Did you have the newer one with the suspension like kind of down towards the bottom?
Yeah.
So they kind of route their cable routing through that. I don't know what you want to call it, the cage that goes around the suspension. So it definitely pushes it up kind of high.
Yeah, but I run like a 210 dropper usually, and It's frustrating.
Yeah, I have a 210 in my tall boy and in my Bronson, but I couldn't fit it in the chameleon. So,
but I also didn't like the electronic one because it was too easy to hit the button and pop it up. I kept
oh,
like when I
boy.
do like a turn down or a table, I'd like hit it with the top of my thumb, and I'd be like
Oh, shit.
halfway through a jump and it would pop up. It's
That's
miserable.
not good.
Not good. So
That's-
I would get to like at Sky Park where you climb up. I would climb up and then I'd drop it and I'd take the battery off and put it in my pocket.
Oh,
So
wow.
on the way down, I couldn't hit, it wouldn't pop up on me. But I did it like 4 times, and once I went over the bars because of it.
Yeah, I can
That's
imagine.
it, enough of this.
Yeah, that's like you're like a time machine, man. You hit the jump and then you land, and it's the 90s, and your seat is in the way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
That's funny. Oh my God, I didn't even think about that. Now you got me paranoid.
it's so easy. I mean, which is really nice for trail riding to just boop, like droppers up, because some of those levers, they're a little bit, you kind of push them pretty far. But yeah, on the jumps, it was like it was driving me nuts.
That's funny. What's your favorite thing that you've made?
Favorite thing that I've made? Probably it was probably the whole Lego series that I did this summer, like the pedals and the grips and the seat, just because as a kid I always loved Legos, and I feel like they kind of bring out the kid in everyone, and it was just pretty popular. Fun to see it get shared. I got shared on Pink Bike, and that was a fun project.
Do you still do Legos? You have any Legos that you put together?
I had a lot of Legos, and I gave them all to my younger cousins. So I have just a few these days. I'm not really like a Lego enthusiast anymore, but I love watching like some of the Lego.
Uh-oh. We got internet stuck. I don't know if it's you or it's me. Uh-oh.
How are we doing?
Oh, there you are. I was like, is it my internet that just took a shit, or is it Brendan's internet that just took a shit?
I don't know. I think I was good, but I lost you for a sec. But it seems to be back now.
Seems like we're both back. So whoever it was, we both paid our bills apparently, so we're good.
So I don't have a lot of Legos anymore, but I do love watching like those Lego engineering channels. Do you ever watch those? Where they're like,
no, I never seen that.
Like they're like building like a functioning air-powered motor out of Legos, or like the Lego submarine.
Yeah,
it's like, I don't know, cool. That's kind of cool stuff.
Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting. It's such a cool toy. My daughter always buys me like the little 15-minute sets kind of for Christmas or whatever, because she doesn't know what else to buy me. So I made this piece of wall art to like kind of display them, and then like took like a big piece of plywood, and we used a CNC and cut out a bunch of squares in it, so it's like full of Rubik's cubes that are all mixed up. And then some of the spots where you could put a Rubik's cube, instead I printed a shelf that you could just stick in that spot, and then it has like a little Lego, like, I don't know, a little Star Wars ship or something,
Oh, that's sick.
So, yeah. I saw this thing, like basically like this, like, I don't know, 5 foot by 5 foot piece of art on Etsy that was like Rubik's cubes like that. I was like, oh wow, that thing's pretty cool. And then I looked at the price, and they were like, yeah, $1,500. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, man. Like there's no way I can buy a piece of particle board at Home Depot and cut this out with a jigsaw if I have to. Unfortunately, I work for a robotics company that machines all their own stuff, so we have lots of cool toys like a CNC.
Oh, nice.
So you should see our machine shop. It's like freaking humongous. So I went into work and we CNC'd that thing up, and that was pretty fun. So
that's so sick. So you're in Sacramento. Do you hang out with Joe, the Colorado kid, a lot?
We don't hang out. He lives pretty close to me. I mean, I've ridden with him a couple times. Every once in a while we'll do something together, but like more along the lines of like meeting up for a group ride or something like that. We'll bump into each other, but for whatever reason, he's actually like pretty busy. At least that's what he tells me. No.
Yeah, he's busy grooming his mustache or whatever.
Yeah. He's got kids too. I think between kids and how much time he's spends on his content, I I I would imagine that he doesn't have a lot of free time to go do other things. So, but yeah, he's close by. You guys did some collaboration not too long ago. How'd that come about?
Oh, he was down in my area I think he was meeting up with Worldwide Cyclery, which they're just down
Okay,
the street.
yeah.
They're just down the street from me. And then so he crashed at my house for a couple of days.
Oh,
Which
cool.
I'll give you the same invite if you're ever down in the area. We got a
Yeah.
lot of extra space, so come stay and come ride my bikes.
Yeah, I did a video about their shop like way back whenever like they were kind of just starting, and I rode, what is that? Something Oaks, something right by there. Thousand Oaks.
Oh yeah, Thousand Oaks. That's where I live.
Yeah. Did some little ride, like kind of rode up top of Magic Mountain, something like that.
Yeah, Space Mountain. I was just up there and 2 hours ago, right before that's my backyard ride.
Oh, right on. That's awesome.
It's a fun little ride. Nice climb. Nice it's like 900 feet of climbing from my house up to the top, and then fun little descent. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it was definitely a good time. I was in a much different riding shape back then. It'd be fun to go down there and kind of smash it now. But yeah.
Dude, since the elevation is nuts here in California, my wife's been laughing at me because so when we moved out here in April, and from April to now, I've gained 20 pounds of leg weight. I've been doing like 10,000 feet a week of climbing. And I went to October came around and started to get a little cool. I went to put my pants on and none of my pants fit. My wife was like, damn, you're getting thick. Like just like quad and ass weight. I went from 165 to 185, all in leg muscle. I'm like,
that's crazy.
Nothing fits. Like just so weirdly proportioned now. And the elevation is serious out here.
Yeah, it's definitely no joke. That's for sure. I think that I have to remember that sometimes whenever I'm talking about things to people from different states, because like I have a buddy that he lives out here now, but he's from I think Minnesota. So like a big long ride for them, like if they had like 500 or 600 feet of elevation, that was like a big deal, And for me, I'm like, yeah, we'll go do 4,000 feet tomorrow. It's like people that are from there are like, no, that's like what I ride in a week. Like what are you talking about?
Yeah. So. Or I'll I'll go out for like a quick 30-minute loop. I'll do like 2.5, 3 miles. We're like, how does it take you 30 minutes to do 2.5 miles? Like, you don't understand. Going straight up the whole time.
Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah. But then, we definitely we're fortunate in the aspect of like, you could do a big long climb and then you get that all in descent. It's not.
It's fun. It's fun. Yeah.
Like when I did that ride back in Pennsylvania, I forgot like how the trails were, and it's like I went to go like, oh, I'm gonna climb up this and then it's gonna be all down, and it was like, no, it's not.
Yeah, I know, it's up and down and up and down and up and down.
Yeah. So kind of
that actually, when I was riding a lot in Toronto, it made me really want a true dropper post, one that goes down on its own.
Yeah,
like because you're every 30 seconds you're sitting down to push the seat down just to stand up to go down the next hill, right? So I wanted just to hit the button, have it go down, and hit the button, have it come back up. I think that'd be it. That'd be great.
You know what I want? You could build this on your channel. I'll let you. You can have my idea rights. I want a dropper post that you push the button and it folds up and sucks into the tube and the seat is gone.
Like completely gone?
Just gone. Like do you ever see Inspector Gadget, or am I like, is that too old? Like that. Remember he had that helicopter came out of his hat? I want it to be like
so then seat. Do you just have the seat tube kind of hanging out there, or do you want like a trials bike, like flat, like no
just like it just disappears in there. It just folds up and goes right into the seat tube, and now it's like your top tube comes to the top of your seat tube, and that's it. There's nothing there. Nothing in like if you just sawed the seat post off, that's what should be there.
Right, flush. No, like you don't want like 4 inches of seat tube sticking up.
Yeah, no 4 inches of anal pressure. None of that.
What
Yeah,
made you think of that? What were you doing? Were you like pumping some rollers or something, trying to scrub something, and you kept
I'll
hitting the
be
seat?
honest. The first time I ever had a dropper, it was 125 millimeters, and after 10 or 15 years of riding mountain bike with the seat always up your rear end, I remember feeling like that 125 millimeters was like it was fearful because like the seat would you would pinch the seat in between your legs and stuff, it's like it was gone. And I just remember being like, this is like so awkward, like I don't know how to do this. And then over time it's like you learn how to use a dropper, and then it would just be like I want it to go down more, I want it to go
Oh
down
yeah,
more. And now I have a 210 millimeter dropper, and I still will find myself on the trail pushing the button and like, is it down all the way? Like, I really feel like it could be down a little bit more. So it's just
totally,
completely a joke in my mind. Like, push the button, it disappears. You know?
totally. No, I agree. I mean, I ride a dirt jumper a lot,
Yeah.
and the seat is below the tire,
Yeah.
so it's like when I get back on my trail bike and the seat's like 6 inches above the tire at its lowest point. It's like, yeah, you notice it,
Yeah.
especially landing from big, like casing something or landing from a big jump where you want to absorb a lot with your knees. Then you
Yeah.
bounce your butt off the seat at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah, wish I could get out of the way.
Where it's like, you're going in, like you said, you're doing trials, or like I like super like rocky technical kind of riding.
Totally.
And that seat, like sometimes maybe your body is staying in position, but your bike is coming up. So then it's like that
Yeah.
seat gets in the way, and you're at, it's steep or something like that. So it's like you can get hung up on that thing. So
Yeah. Big
yeah,
bunny hops.
huh?
Big bunny hops.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So I don't know. My 210 in the tall boy, I think the way that the seat post angle is or something like that. I use a Lab Oster hip pack, and it kind of like, it's not like a traditional hip pack where most hip pack companies, like the hip pack kind of goes around like your kidneys and let's just say like your belly button area,
Yeah.
where the Lab Oster kind of rides down below your belly, like kind of like on your hips, and
Huh.
then it has bottles so they hang lower. And on my tall boy, like if I drop my seat down all the way, I kind of have to lean forward a little bit to keep my hip pack from hitting the tire. But I like that because then I know the seat is down. It's down as low as it can possibly go. Otherwise, I'm going to be dragging my bottles on the wheel.
I want one that spins, like the seat spins rapidly as it comes up.
There you go.
Just because I think it would be a great conversation starter.
Right.
You're
Just
right.
like
Someone's
spins up
following
like a
you, and you're
helicopter
like,
blade.
yeah, just spins around.
I feel like you could make that.
I think I can make it happen.
Yeah. That would be pretty, like that would be much easier to create than my disappearing one. So
You got
maybe
anything you want me to make? You got anything you want me to make on the channel coming up? I mean, aside from the disappearing.
Yeah. I feel like
Nano
the
technology.
disappearing one would probably be like maybe more Colorado kid style. Like he pushes the button and then it's like the video, like little smoke, and it's just gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. But something for you to make. No, I think we talked about them all already. I'll have to give you some other stupid ideas that I come up with. I'll let you know. I did make a Garmin mount recently though. We were
Cool.
talking about Garmin earlier. Here, I'll show you. Hang on, let me grab it real quick. It'll take
3D printed.
Yep. I started doing Zwift because
Why?
it rained in California for so long that I like completely got weak. And so I was like, I need to ride something. So I got a Garmin. They hooked me up with a trainer, and I started doing Zwift with my gravel bike. And while I was doing that, it's like I want my phone on there and not my Garmin, right? And I want to be able to, like, sometimes you're in this like pain cave where you just are watching time somehow slow down. And then other times you're in this like recovery zone where you're like, oh, I'm just spinning. This is super easy. And then at that point, I'm like, my ADD kicks in. I'm like, oh, I wonder what's going on Instagram. So I wanted a MagSafe Garmin mount, so I could put it in my Garmin mount, and then it's just the MagSafe for my iPhone. So that way, whenever it's on my my bike and I'm ready to grab it, then I can just, this is not going to be like useful for somebody that's actually riding because this magnet is like weak as fuck. But as far as for like my purpose, I was really surprised that nobody had something like this.
Dig it. That's great.
Yeah. So
what did you print it out
of? Just PETG. So
nice.
Got one little hinge in it, so that way you can change the angle of that, and I kind of put a little bit of an angle off the Garmin mount just so that it doesn't hit your stem, right?
It's great.
But yeah, that was one of the useless things that I spent my time on.
That's a great one.
Yeah, but it actually is like something that I use all the time. But at the same as you, am I selling it? No. So what do you have? What are you looking forward to? Where would you like to be in the next couple of years?
Oh, and where would I like to be in the next couple of years? I mean, I'm looking forward to doing more long form content. And because I just see the value in that. I like the attention span, and I think it's a pretty sustainable, if done right, if you can put the time in and be consistent, it's a pretty sustainable income. So my goal would be to kind of just keep making the projects bigger and more technical, more ridiculous, and be able to fund that through the YouTube channel, long form content. Some AdSense, some brand deals, and sponsored videos sort of thing. But like Colin Furze, he's always building some crazy vehicle, and I'd love to kind of take that same energy and bring it into the cycling world, and build some cool bikes, build some custom stuff, do some ridiculous projects. Yeah, I got
exciting.
I'm making some bike parts out of concrete coming up. That should be a pretty cool one. I got a couple different wheels. I want to do a DIY. Those bird spokes with the So I'm gonna do a DIY bird spoke wheel. I have like paracord, and then a wheel of chains. Like all the spokes are old bike chains. Another one, so stuff like that. I'm working with a company that's doing 3D printing stuff out of chocolate. So I'm gonna make some chocolate bike parts.
Oh, that sounds fun.
It'll be pretty fun, I think.
But yeah, definitely good stuff to come. So hey, I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and chat with me. It means a lot, and it was great chatting with you. You definitely have some interesting and intriguing content. So anybody out there that hasn't checked out his stuff, definitely search Outside Brendan on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube for that matter. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and hit the show more button, and I got links to that stuff down there as well. But Brendan, like honestly, it was a great time chatting with you. I really appreciate it. Normally I ask people what YouTube channels that they like to watch, but I think you've already told us like 5 or 6 of them during the show, so it's kind of pointless.
There's so many good ones out there, but yeah. And thanks for having me on. It's been great, and I hope we get to ride in person sometime.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like I said, or like you said, if you ever make your way up to Sacramento, feel free to hit me up. Definitely, we're empty nesters, so we have extra rooms. So, but yeah, lots of good riding up here, and same thing. I'll definitely hit you up whenever I finally get around to making that SoCal trip. So, nonetheless, all of you out there listening, thank you very much. Really appreciate you all. All you on Patreon, I appreciate you. And I didn't have my page up, but I did see 2 new podcast reviews, and I really appreciate both of you guys for doing that. It means a lot. So if you guys want to help out this podcast and help it get the big sponsorship deals like Outside Brendan, then go over to the Apple Podcast and write a 5-star review. If you're thinking 4-star review, don't even waste your time. It's probably not worth it. But those of you guys who want something for free, swing by Instagram. While you're there, you can check out Outside Brendan, or you could swing by that Biker B1 at Biker B1 and give me a follow over there. Really helps keep the motivation high and gives you a little extra content for free. If you're watching on YouTube, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe button, the thumbs up, those kind of things. And if all of that doesn't resonate with you and you just want to do something else completely for free, all you have to do is remember it only takes a bike to be a biker. Get out and be one. Bam.